And good evening. New clues tonight, a potential major discovery, but the manhunt for the gunman who shot and killed UnitedHealthcare CEO now stretching into its third day. At this hour, the public still doesn't know the killer's identity, and now police believe he's left New York City, meaning he could be anywhere. But late today, a key piece of evidence may have been found. We're just learning that gray backpack has been located in Central Park. The NYPD had deployed drones, as you see a team here doing just that to help in the search. Police now working to find out if it's the same bag used by the suspected shooter. Also new today, authorities believe the person of interest you see here may have left the city through a busy bus terminal. Right now, police are tracing the suspect's steps and combing through security cam video, hoping it will help track him down. The targeted attack sending shockwaves across the entire industry. Medica, a Minnesota-based health insurer, shutting down its campus as a result of the murder. And healthcare provider Centene releasing this message, quote, in the wake of the tragic loss of UnitedHealthcare CEO Brian Thompson, Centene's Investor Day will now be hosted virtually. A number of companies, including the ones you see right here, are now removing their leadership pages from their websites. We have a lot to get to tonight. NBC's Sam Brock starts off our coverage.
Even with a growing trove of images captured on camera connected to the brazen and targeted killing of UnitedHealthcare CEO Brian Thompson Wednesday morning, tonight, no suspect has been named by the NYPD. And New York City's police commissioner Jessica Tisch said in an interview with CNN she believes the person of interest in the case has escaped Manhattan.
We have released the photo yesterday. We would appreciate you getting that photo out to your audience because we also have reason to believe that the person in question has left New York City.
Tisch telling CNN the NYPD has a massive camera canvas as well as a combination of fingerprints and DNA evidence. The department's chief of detectives, Joseph Kenny, said to CNN that surveillance video allowed them to track the shooter's whereabouts from the crime scene up to Central Park, where he traveled on a bike, exiting the park at West 77th Street.
Eventually, we have him on 86th Street and Columbus Avenue walking. He loses the bike. And then from there, we have him in a taxi cab, and the taxi cab takes him up to 178th Street and Broadway, which, as we know, is a Port Authority bus center. Those buses are interstate buses. That's why we believe he may have left New York City.
Those officials noting there is video of the man entering the station but not leaving, which is why police believe he was on a bus out of the city and that they don't know which bus he was on. One possible break in the case coming late today after police launched a drone search over Manhattan Central Park looking for the backpack worn by the shooter. A gray bag was located, according to two senior law enforcement officials. Investigators now looking to see if it is the bag used by the suspected shooter. Police officials hopeful that releasing this image of the person of interest, the only visual revealing his face, will lead to tips from those who know him. The snapshots coming from a hostel on Manhattan's Upper West Side, where, according to a senior law enforcement official, the man only took his mask down in order to flirt with an employee at the hostel's front desk. The images essential to NYPD's efforts to establish an identity through facial recognition to help solve a calculated murder that's also rattled an entire industry.
This is so unprecedented. It has really made a lot of executives very much on edge.
The insurance sector now making dramatic changes. Some leading companies taking profiles and information about their top executives off public websites, with CVS Health confirming they did just that. Insurance company Centene, with a late pivot, also moving its in-person investor conference scheduled for next week to virtual. Bertha Coombs is CNBC's senior healthcare reporter.
A number of companies are not wanting to talk about it, understandably, because they also don't want to exacerbate the conversation. But they are very much concerned, and they're very much concerned about the type of discussion that has been happening online.
Vitriol and frustration with the health insurance industry over denied claims spilling out on social media in the wake of Thompson's murder. Security and protection firms say across industries, executives and companies are calling for help.
This rocked the soul of the industry. It really did.
Matthew Dumpert runs Kroll's Enterprise Security Risk Management.
Our phones are ringing off the hook and our email inboxes are flooded with folks that we have a relationship with and those that are reaching out to establish a dialogue.
Sam Brock joins us live tonight from Midtown Manhattan. Sam, let's go back to the investigation and the manhunt. A lot of details tonight, a lot of new information. What more do we know about that backpack that's been found?
Yeah, certainly, Tom, you can understand why the backpack is of paramount importance. Two senior law enforcement officials maintain the fact right now that we do not know yet whether that gray backpack did in fact belong to the shooter or not, that it's being sent out to the lab for testing more than likely, and also that it wouldn't just be opened up and dumped out in the middle of the park when you consider what might be inside of it, whether that's a firearm or writings, computers, communications, anything along those lines, that you have fingerprints and DNA that could potentially be tested. They are going to be extremely delicate with that. Also, Tom, we're learning that the backpack was discovered somewhere near where the suspect fled on his bicycle. And you heard from the chief of detectives earlier that he was last spotted on 77th Street on the bike. And it wasn't until about 10 blocks later on 86th and Columbus that he had shed it. Where exactly in the park, we have not exactly pinpointed, but it does seem like somewhere in that region is where investigators may have uncovered that backpack.
All right, Sam Brock with a lot of new reporting tonight. Sam, we thank you for that. Joining us again tonight to break down these latest details is John Monahan. He's a retired captain with the New York Police Department and quickly becoming a good friend of Top Story. John, it's good to see you tonight. I want to start with something that may be a cliche, I don't know, but they say the first 48 are the most important hours in the investigation. 48 hours have come and gone. There is no suspect in custody. How much more difficult does that make it for the NYPD?
Well, a lot more difficult, especially now that he may have left town. It's the whole country to look for this guy. You know, there's a lot of ideas, a lot of avenues. The main thing, as you can see, when you see Joe Kennedy give that press conference, let's catch this guy. All the other stuff, the peripheral stuff, who is he, you know, why did he do this, what's going on, let's catch him. And that's what they're working on. The backpack is going to help if it's his. Let's hope. You know, when they're done with it, if this is not his, and they've done their drone work over the park, the next thing is they've got to start dredging waterways.
Right.
There's 3 or 4 big waterways in that park.
Yeah.
Let's hope it's the backpack.
Let's talk about the map. You just mentioned the chief of detectives talking about the way he got out. I want to put up this map for our viewers here. So the dots in the middle there, they looked a little crunched up. That's because a lot of that stuff happened, you know, within blocks there in Midtown Manhattan, not too far from 30 Rock, where we are tonight. He gets into the park, goes up, jumps into a cab, heads to the Port Authority bus terminal. What does this tell you about his getaway?
You know, he has told us something about himself he doesn't realize. It starts with that alleyway. It's not an alleyway, it's a beautiful plaza, right? But that he thought to take that little circuitous route. The bike he jumped on was 1 straight block away, yet he went through that alleyway. And then he exits the park at 77th Street. His destination is 104th. He could have stayed in the park till 100th Street. Right. He's doing these moves to throw off a tail. He's telling us something about himself. We need to listen to him. He went into that Port Authority bus terminal. Now, Joe Kennedy was on that press conference saying there's video of him going in the terminal and no video of him coming out. Well, the New York City subway system runs right underneath that terminal. And there's a tunnel that goes from the bus terminal to the 175th Street and Broadway train station. Yeah. So he went in. Is he going in there to throw us off, to double back down to Port Authority? I know his guys are looking at that. Yeah. They're going to look at everything. And, if you know, he took a Greyhound into town, right? Right. There's only 3 cities Greyhound goes to from that bus terminal. Yeah. Philly, Boston, D.C. There's other bus companies in that terminal. But so he has told us what he does. He doubles back, he doubles back, he doubles back.
What does that tell you? What does that mean?
Well, it means that he went to the Port Authority bus terminal. Doesn't mean he took a bus out of there. Maybe he went in there, just like he went down the alleyway, just like he jumped out of the park at 77th. Maybe he went in there to double back down to Port Authority.
Takes a bike, takes a subway, takes a cab, takes a Greyhound bus. I mean, he's all over the place, right? Right. I mean, does this tell you that this was very well thought out, very well planned out?
He's put a lot of thought into it. He obviously put a lot of thought into this, right? And he is telling us something about himself, and we need to listen.
He's a young guy, though. Right, he looks like young from that. They've confirmed that is the suspect with, you know, with the mask down inside the hostel. That might have been his only mistake that we know of so far. What does it tell you that a guy this young has been able, and I don't want to say outsmart because the police could be outside his door right now, but you have the biggest police force in the world, and you have this guy who's seeming to have vanished in thin air. What does that tell you about this guy?
Well, first, let me say this. It's a city of 8 million people. And the island of Manhattan's probably got about 2 million people on it at any given moment.
Right.
Surveillance cameras is one thing. I know we're not relying on them entirely. Shoe leather is a big part of this. Where the camera tells you he was, now you got to get out there and start talking to the store clerks, the delivery men, the doormen, everybody in that neighborhood, particularly the people at the hostel, of course. So there's a lot of work that's been going on. I mean, think about it, Tom, that they found out about the hostel. They found out that he took the bike, got out at 7. That's a lot. You know what I mean? They are finding a lot. They haven't found him, but they are making progress.
Talking about things they found, let's talk about the potential backpack. This may be the backpack. But as you alluded to last night, he may also be dropping clues to throw off police. But in general, if this is the backpack, how big of a development is that?
Oh, it's big. It's very big. Now, he's been very, we'll say, smart, or at least he planned this out to this point. Would he have left anything in there of value to us? Unlikely. If he's just going to drop it, he didn't seem to be in a panic. Tom, we saw that video. He walked away from the man at first. So is he going to drop a backpack in the woods in Central Park that contains items that could identify him? I doubt it very much. So even if that is his, is it going to give us anything? Maybe DNA.
Do you think police know who they're looking for, or do you think they still don't know? I mean, would they release his name?
No,
would they want the public to help in the search?
Here's how this would work. If we identify him, let's say right now they got his name. They're not going to say anything until they can find out if they know where he is and they can snatch him up. If they get to the point, let's say they have identified him, we're not going to.
But they did release his image. They did release his face.
Well, that's because they don't know who he is, and we need the public to help us. Right? So let's say they did ID him. They're not going to tell us that until they run out of ways of finding him. And when they get to the dead end and realize we can't put our hands on this guy, then they go public and say we have identified. So the news is going to break one way or the other. We've identified him. We need you to help us find him. Or we've identified him, and here he is. We got him.
The chief of detectives, the commissioner came out. They did that interview tonight, which is a big deal. Why do you think they went public with that interview?
Well, he got on that Port Authority bus terminal. We need the whole country to be looking for this guy now, not just people in Manhattan. We need, I mean, you know, I really think, I mean, Minnesota is connected to this. We understand Atlanta might be connected to this. Again.
And the Atlanta PD has been contacted as well. They're working and trying to help the NYPD. Let me ask you, now that he might be cross-country, he might be on a bus, does the FBI get involved, or is this still the NYPD's investigation?
They can help if they want. They have a lot of resources we could use. Sure, and we have joint task forces. We work closely with them all the time.
Before we go, I want to show you another piece of video we have that's come in today. It was him walking by some trash bags. He appears to either drop something or touch the trash bag or something. This is the video right here. Does this tell you anything? And I know it's random, but it looks like he's putting something by there. It's unclear what it is. Anything you can draw from that? Or
you know what? It's a very specific thing he's doing. He's not just throwing something away because you would just toss it. He may have been picking something up. I don't know what he was doing. You know who I feel sorry for? The cops have got to go out to the city dump now and find that big garbage because they're going to go look. Or they're going to go look for it. They'll find out what truck was assigned to that street, what day and time to pick up was, and they're going to go find that garbage can. And they'll sort through a mound until they find it. It's an odd act. I can't imagine what he was doing there.
John Monahan, I've loved talking to you. We're going to keep talking to you, I'm sure, in the days and weeks ahead until they catch this guy.
Thanks.
Thank you tonight.
Thanks for watching. Stay updated about breaking news and top stories on the NBC News app or follow us on social media.